Wow, that's where we're going with this. All right.
I've told you I love you.
Please don't say it in that voice again. In practice, I never shared that story. I think it's a bigger conversation than just health. I think it's a leadership in the household, and we're called to be leaders.
What's up, fellas? Welcome back to the Patros Podcast. My name's Allan Pereira, and my co-host, Jeff Ford.
What up?
And our great, influential, amazing man of God, father of four, husband of one, praise God, to one woman, Dr. Raul Serrano. He is a best-selling author of the 14-Day Reboot. He is the founder and owner of Ignite Chiropractic and Wellness, and he and his team have actually performed over 150,000 adjustments in the last 10 years. What's up, bro?
Let's go, man. I'm excited. This is going to be
Sir.
good.
I'm excited.
I think like 2,000 of those are on me.
Yeah, you need it. That's right. That's the problem.
That back needs it. Well, first of all, before we get into it, the show title is Putting Health Back in Masculinity, and we got Dr. Raul because of all the people that I know of, I don't know of anybody more qualified to talk about a holistic picture of what health is supposed to be. And men, we're just going to get into it in a little bit. We don't really talk about it as much as our female counterparts, so we're going to figure out why that is. But before that, I mean, tell us about you, man. What's up?
Well, just like you said, I have an awesome and amazing wife, Jessica, 4 kiddos. My oldest is 15. My second to oldest is 11. I have a boy. These are all girls, except for one boy. He's 9. And my little one is 5. So 15, 11, 9, and 5 currently. And it's just been an amazing journey. My wife and I, we have 3 of our own, which are our youngest ones. And my oldest, if you're listening, you're going to have to rewind this one back in your brain a little bit. It's my sister that we adopted. So yeah, it's my sister, not my sister's son or daughter, but my sister that we adopted when she was 7. She's now 15 and just doing amazing. So that's just a little bit of background of my family story or history there. And yeah, man, just love what I do in the practice, love just serving people in the realm of health because it impacts everything, right? If you're not healthy, guess what? You're miserable at home a lot of times. It's potentially you're not doing well at work or your focus is off. And I just love, holistically helping families get well, get better, and live into their God-given potential.
That's good.
Yeah, and we'll get into that. What you guys may not know listening to this right now is that I happen to see this guy almost every day of my life.
Yes.
Which sometimes is a burden, but most of the time is a blessing. In fact, this morning we did at 5 a.m. Monday through Friday for the last 6 years. We get up and we work out. And, over the years we changed it up a little bit. Wednesdays is a special day. Why is it special?
Why?
We love Wednesdays. It's Moga Day.
It's Moga Day.
What's that?
Moga.
Male yoga or something?
You got it.
Dang.
Man
yoga.
yoga.
Man yoga.
Man yoga with our boy Dean. Shout out Dean. I don't even know his channel, but
I don't know.
Dean is amazing. He's our guy, leads us through it. So
He just comes over to y'all's workout and does the session?
He invades.
Wow.
Through the phone. through the phone every Wednesday.
Well, even about competition, don't you guys, we talked about that last podcast or 2 ago.
Raul and I compete.
You guys compete probably, every day?
Never. There's no competition here.
Didn't you guys used to cycle just to
when-
make sure that you were cycling more than the other guy or something like that?
Oh, geez.
This is how far the competition has gone, is that both of our kids, Asher, that's Jeff's son, and Atlas, my son, they're about a year apart, that they've taken on the competition
That's
now.
hilarious.
Okay, our dads are competing, they're now competing.
That's hilarious.
Like if they're not competing, the other one's like, what are we doing? This is a competition. So.
Just be proud that they aren't instead just placing bets on you guys and
well, who knows?
making money off
they
you
may
guys
be placing
like
bets,
racehorses instead.
We don't know, but no. Anyway, so you'll see that, and here's the cool thing about Dr. Serrano's. He'll be a regular panelist. So on this show, what you're going to see is Allan and I are always going to hold it down for you, being here as the show host. But we will have guests that come in, kind of one-time guests, but we will have a rotation of panelists. And Dr. Serrano has agreed to be one of those, so you'll see him regularly, and you'll see even today, I'm sure, the good relationship, the good vibes coming from from the two of us anyway. And of course, Allan is always vibing in a positive direction.
My own vibe.
You got your own vibe, yeah. So here, before we get into the health conversation, which I think is an interesting one, and I got a lot of personal stories on this as well, just and personal convictions that have changed over the years, since I've known you, quite frankly. But before we do that, I always like to do something in the beginning just to kind of talk a little bit about masculinity stuff. So I was looking at, there was a recent kind of viral thread, and it was things that make men uncomfortable. Things that make, because I was thinking about health, and that's kind of an uncomfortable topic for me personally, or at least it has been traditionally. So what are the things that make men uncomfortable? So here is the number one on this list was, and this was, some viral thing, I don't know. But number one, being naked in a men's changing room. 49% of men say they are uncomfortable.
I guess 49 isn't enough, right? Because that's... That means it's just a 50-50 on who's uncomfortable and who's not.
You want them comfortable or you don't?
No, I'm saying, like, if you're going to say that that's their most uncomfortable, shouldn't there be, like, more than 50% of them?
Well,
at that point, it's just a coin toss.
49% of men said that was their top thing.
Top thing. Okay.
So,
I think that's funny. I know you say this is a viral thing, so who knows where that came from, but I go to thinking, who did they poll? Because if you go poll older men, I don't really think they care.
Yeah,
I've been in some locker rooms where it's like, no, you should have something.
You
on.
see some things that you can't unsee.
And let me tell you,
but you wish you could.
They've never been in a football locker room either, because I'll tell you, 100% of them do not care about being naked in there.
Facts.
So I don't know. I'm thinking, I don't go to the gym. We do the gym at the house.
Yeah.
So
if you guys are naked, that's weird. Because
facts. But I don't have that opportunity. But I'm not uncomfortable, but I don't seek it either. It's not but I got some friends who are just exhibitionists, right? They're just
what's that?
They're just taking it off for everybody.
Just
they're
for
the
fun,
ones that live in Land O'Lakes, at the
Land O'Lakes.
What's it called?
The Paradise Lakes.
The Paradise Lakes.
What is that? This is like an adult's type of...
What y'all may not know listening is that we happen to live in an area with the world's largest nudist colony.
That's I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Someone should have warned me.
It's our home turf. So
what?
Anyway. All right, the second one, 48% said this was their top one, was crying in front of male friends. Does that make you guys uncomfortable? You guys uncomfortable to cry?
Depends on the friend. If they're safe or not. I think that's for me. But I'm also I'll cry in front of a whole crowd of people.
Okay. Well, what's the difference?
What do you mean?
Well, you said it depends on the friend, but you'll cry in front of everybody.
If I'm preaching the gospel to people that I believe aren't saved, I might cry. So that's not safe. But if I'm being vulnerable about my brokenness or my hurt, my shame, then yeah, I'm not gonna go in front of a crowd and talk. But if I'm talking to friends, I'm gonna cry in front of them and feel safe to do it.
Okay.
That brings up a lot of thoughts, and wow, this is where we're going with this. All right, so I've been in practice for 15 years. 10 of those I've had my own practice, which Allan, you mentioned.
Yeah.
But for my first 6, maybe 7 years of practice, I never shared my story, my health story, right? And I would say at that time, yes, I would be scared to cry in front of people, men, crowds. And I don't know what happened. 6, 7 years in, I'm sitting there one day just thinking about my practice, and we're helping people. It's great. Things are going. But I knew we could have more impact. And it was almost like God, you have those moments where he speaks to you. We kind of, know what that feels like or is. And I remember it just sitting there saying, I gave you a story and you haven't shared it, and you're not sharing it. And that's when I started sharing my story. So if I'm going to be a panelist, I'll take a second so people can kind of hear the background and stuff. So, growing up, I was that kid that was constantly sick, always on medications, in and out of the hospitals constantly. And even as a newborn, 2 weeks in, my mom says I was colicky. If you don't know what that means, it's you cannot soothe the baby. So she didn't know what to do. 2 weeks in, she takes me back to the hospital. They check me out, and they end up seeing that I have hernias, double hernias. So immediately they send me into the surgery room. They did the surgery for the hernias, and anytime they put anybody under or do a surgery, the thing they do after is they give you antibiotics, right? So they gave me antibiotics. destroyed my gut. So from 2 weeks old all the way through middle school, I couldn't hold food down. It was coming out one end or the other. Funny now, not funny then, but I was in the hospital so often that the nursing team at the hospital I would go to coined me Mr. Diarrhea. Like literally. I couldn't. I just couldn't hold food down.
Yeah.
So anyways, that led to ear infections and sicknesses and more medications. So I'm going into middle school, skinniest kid you're ever going to see. And in middle school, I started to pass out. And when they did blood work, they said I had hypoglycemia, meaning my blood sugar would drop, I would pass out. And the answer to my mom was that I had to walk around with a candy bar and a juice pack, like a Capri Sun.
And just be sugared up.
Yeah. If my blood sugar drops, what do you got to do? Bring it back up, right? So you give a middle schooler free range at candy bars and juices. In nuts. 2 years. I went from one of the skinniest kids in my class, which I talked about this in the book. I have a picture, to the most obese kid in my middle school class. Muy gordo. Muy gordo. That's right. And I remember now I'm back at the doctor's office. The biggest kid in my middle school class in 2 years. I just ballooned up. They did my blood work and they said now I'm like not hypoglycemic. Now I'm pre-diabetic. So my hormones have shifted, right?
The complete opposite. Yeah.
And if you can think back to middle school, there's the bullying. There's the hormone changes. There's all the things that are happening. I remember back, the doctor came in and said, hey, your grandparents have this, diabetes and cholesterol issues, and they're on medications. And he said the dreaded words, this is just in your what?
Genetics.
It's in your genes.
Yeah.
And I went home that day thinking of what's happening in school with the bullying, thinking of me physically, what I look like, thinking of what the doctor's saying. And I went to my room, and I was there for quite some time, contemplating things, and I went to my drawer, opened a drawer. I grabbed a tie. I put it around on the top of the door, put it around my neck, and I tried committing suicide that day. And for 6-7 years in practice, I never shared that story. There's something that held me back. And I remember where this all started was there was a release to say, hey, I've given you a story. Go share that. And the reason I share that story now is because so many people out there are bound by their quote unquote genetics, right? They've been told this is the way it's going to be. You're going to have this diagnosis. This is just how life is going to be. And in my own life, I've seen the drastic difference, right? From what I've been told to what I am now. And now I see it in the next generation. I see it in my kids, right? I see my kids that are growing up like just super healthy. Part of that's God's blessing. Part of it, a lot of it, I think another big part of that's what we've done, right? In our lifestyle to help that. And that's the mission now. It's helping families pass this generational health down, because when you look out there, it's not getting better.
No.
Right? And men, I believe, are a big part of that equation.
I would just like to note that when he started sharing this story, it was like when I really came into his life. So, I don't know if that's just a coincidence.
You saying that
or just
God used you?
I don't know. I mean, we'll find out one day. But no, I'm playing. But that story,
even if it's true, never give it to him.
Don't give each
it was
other.
Definitely not.
We don't give each other anything. No, but we have become very close friends. So I've heard that story, and it's just amazing. I got my own story, you got yours. Like God uses stories to change people.
Yeah.
And when we're bold enough to get past the shame that the enemy wants to put on us, and be able to just own what it is that we went through. Some of those decisions were not ours, and some of them were ours. And so both of them need to be embraced, and God can use those, right?
For sure.
So so I appreciate you sharing that. So all that to say then, are you good to cry in front of your male friends?
I am now.
Ooh, because that's health.
Ooh, healthy. I like it. All right, let me do a couple of these. This one's interesting. Saying I love you to a male relative or a male friend. This was third on the list.
Wait, did you say if you were comfortable to cry?
Oh, am I comfortable to cry?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm comfortable to cry.
Yeah.
I don't do it a lot.
Yeah, you're not a crier.
My staff laughs because the only times they see me cry
it's so funny
is when I'm with the 100 Shares ladies.
It's the funniest thing watching. It's hard not to laugh in the back and take away from the emotion. So I literally will be there bro, I never see Jeff cry.
Yeah, I don't know. I probably tend to cry more in front of a large group than in
like at an opera,
on a one-on-one session when there's a crescendo. So backstory is I was with Allan and another staff member. We were in Kansas City and we were talking about
what makes you cry.
What makes you cry?
That was so funny.
And so they got to me and I was like, well, what really makes me cry is
literally you're just sitting watching a play, like what, Hamilton or something?
No, or it just doesn't matter what, but
it's just a crescendo.
A good crescendo.
It will just
my crescendo is any overcoming story. Like it could be like Lassie or something. I don't know. And my wife's like, "Are you crying again?"
No
like,
way.
This is amazing.
Did you not see
what the dog went through?
Orlando Pace, like, you know, the O lineman, like he's.
That's hilarious.
So we got, but I am comfortable with it. I think I don't tend.
You're
to
just
do
not
it a
one
lot.
to like cry all the time.
I just don't know if but I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
So
is this one?
I love you. Saying I love you to a male. I'll start with that. Like that's something I do struggle with. I don't know why. Again, father wounds. We talked about that before, and that'll be probably a consistent theme on this Patros podcast.
Yeah.
Is when your father, who is that most influential man in your life, right? Whether he's absent or present, he has an influence. And so I think that my dad did not cry, or he did cry and it was like uncontrollable. And I remember thinking neither one of those made a lot of sense to me. And so, but that's not to say that it was his fault or anything either. It didn't make a lot of sense to me. And so I don't know if that's part of it. I'm sure that it is. But in terms of him saying, I love you, I knew he did. He just didn't say it a lot. I don't remember it a lot. I think as I got older, maybe he tried to, especially written. Like once email came out, I do remember him saying it in email, but that person to person.
But there's something about the voice.
It's interesting, right? Like we can retype emails, we send texts and everything, but there is something that is more impactful about that in-person response. So
unless you're a words of affirmation person, then you need notes, which is
that's true.
My wife, I'll tell her I love her all day. Alexis will be like, "Can you just put it in a note though?" And I'm like, "Ha! I suck at notes."
Man, that's interesting. But anyway, what about you guys?
I'm 50-50 on that one.
Yeah.
It is a little uncomfortable. I think that goes to the relationship.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, have they earned that type of thing?
Yeah, it's interesting. I never really thought about that.
I've told you I love you.
Please don't say it in that voice again. Your
just
voice
such
just went
intimate
down.
lighting.
Your voice just went down like 2 octaves, and
Hey,
that was uncomfortable.
Whenever you get this cut up for like a
Podcast.
reel, you should have like some candle lit, like come between you.
We'll make it. No, we have shared.
A glass of wine
We've shared a glass of wine and a bowl of soup together.
at lunch.
That's so funny.
If John was here, he would tell the story. Oh my goodness. What about you, Allan?
I probably, like, me and my guy friends all say it all the time. Like,
You're more healthy than us.
we just say, like, I probably say I love you to too many people, maybe. But then it's like, I remember talking to one of my.
Doesn't mean as much.
Well, here's the thing. So me and Alexis would talk about this when we were dating, because I say I love you to guys, girls, doesn't matter who. I'll say like, hey, love you, or love ya. I'll try to like, because the English language only has one word. So like if you're talking eros, phileo, agape, like you only have one word. It's kind of hard to say like, hey, I want to let you know I phileo you. You know what I'm saying? But that's what
You
I
want to
just do.
fillet me? Like, that's just weird, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, yeah. So I was talking to a college professor of mine that he knows the Greek, and he was explaining that to me. Like, the English language is so it's not sophisticated enough to actually explain all of our emotions, and so it makes it difficult to like tell your wife you love her, tell your friends that you love them, and it not almost seem diluted.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah.
That was good.
All right, let's. I had a good point, but you were just so profound there that just slipped me. So this next one, this one's funny. Going to a gay bar
Makes you uncomfortable. I've never been, so I guess
been to a gay bar either.
I've accidentally been.
Of course you have.
That's hilarious. Well, actually, I've been to a place that's like, they're not exclusively that. But as you're there, as the night proceeds, I think there's like an hour or so where something happens.
And then next thing
and that's when I was like,
time to bounce.
I was at a conference, a health conference in Chicago.
Ooh, Chicago.
And it was a certain week of the year.
Oh.
And I'm saying that this is like early on in my practice, like literally just like had pennies I'm moving around trying to, you know, make the office go. So I'm staying at a hostel, and I'm like, man, everybody is so friendly to me around here. This is amazing. I love shit. This is like the best city on earth. Forget Philadelphia.
It is a great city.
It is a great city. Yeah.
So then I ended up finding out it was Pride Week.
That's hilarious.
And this was like a day and a half into this, I found it out.
And you were some fresh Florida meat.
It was so hilarious.
But I have heard like from a lot of straight guy friends of mine that have been to those because of like political events and stuff. So they'll go to gay bars with their gay friends, and they told me they're like, everyone's just so nice. Like everyone is just friendly.
I'm sure it is friendly. I just haven't been in one.
Just haven't been, yeah.
Just, at least knowingly.
Yeah, if I don't fish, I don't go to a fishing store, you know?
I love that. I love that analogy.
Sorry.
All right, 2 more here. This one's funny because I'm straight up. This would be my number 1 on this list. Putting sunscreen on a male friend's back door. I don't do it. I'm sorry. I don't do it. It's probably why I don't go into a gay bar.
Spray
either.
Or rub or
I'll
either?
Spray. I'll spray you all day long.
Bet. So spray is fair.
Yeah, but I ain't rubbing nothing into your back. I'm sorry, I draw a line.
I'm so comfortable with that.
I'm not.
I'm a chiropractor. My hands are on people
Facts,
all the time.
yeah.
You know, it's like not a big deal.
Yeah, he's
I've rubbed a
helping
lot
them
of
be
things into
healthy.
people.
I mean, that makes sense. You're a doctor. It's true.
Yeah, I'm comfortable
Every day
with that.
you're like manipulating people.
Yeah, I don't think it's weird. I don't think. But
know,
also, I
man.
don't really mess with sunscreen like that. I'd prefer doing like coconut oil.
Well,
Right?
It'd get weird if his voice goes down. I like that, Raul. That would be weird. See what I'm saying? It just depends. There's context, right?
But when you adjust, don't sometimes they go like,
That's not weird, though. That's a good response for the
Sometimes they're
adjustment.
like,
Yeah.
I heard a girl
Or
in
they'll
there
be
today.
like,
She's like,
do that again.
oh. I was like, man, it's loud in Bay 3. That's not to say I haven't done it. Like, I have done that. I'm sure
But
I
it's
did
not
it
comfortable.
in like college and stuff, because like the next one is similar to that, which is sharing a bed with a male friend. So this 42% of people, that's like their top one they want. So
That's
like
not weird.
it's kind of weird, but it really depends on the person for me. Like it depends on how well I know you or whatnot.
Yeah.
But like if I'm in a hotel, but like in college, I mean, my buddy Tuck, like we chose to do it
Tuck.
like every night. Which now sounds really weird. It sounds really weird. But we'd be like, yo, it's cold because it's Chicago, man. So we had to keep each other warm.
You sure you don't want to cut that out of the
Yeah, I was about to say, like, it sounds like sunscreen's not the problem.
There's another problem.
There's an issue of to why you're so uncomfortable putting sunscreen.
Oh, I don't know.
Which actually, you don't like physical touch, really. Like, it's weird for you. So that
Physical
makes
touch
sense
is
why
weird
the
for me.
sunscreen
Yep.
is the one for you.
Yeah, physical touch is weird. I mean, not with my wife. It's
Obviously,
very
hopefully.
weird, very amazing. But with men, yeah. So anyway, you guys? You share a bed?
No. In college, I shared a bed. I mean, I've always shared beds, yeah, like my whole life. But
So it's not uncomfortable.
it's not uncomfortable, no.
Okay.
As long as it's not weird. Like, if one of my friends came to me and was like, hey, I'm kind of attracted to them, I'd be like, all right, you just got to sleep on the couch now. Like, I don't know what to say. I mean, but now when you're married, you don't really have to be in those positions anymore.
Serrano, what about you?
Hey, if I'm at a conference and I
Yeah.
could save half my hotel bill, hey, come on in, man. Let's go. Just lay on that side. But I also just sleep. Like I
Yeah.
get in bed and I'm out in 45 seconds.
Yeah.
Like what do I care?
Sure.
And you just get a king bed. You don't have
Yeah.
to get a queen bed. And there's not some,
Exactly.
yeah.
No, I feel you on that. I'm all about saving a penny.
Jeff's over here like, no, me and Tuck we'd ask them for the cot.
We-
And we'd stay in the cot.
We
And no
wanted a king
bed.
All right, good. So things that make men uncomfortable. It sounds like, in all seriousness, from a healthy masculinity standpoint, a lot of those things are kind of silly, though. Like when you break it down, like as Christian men,
If your worldviews.
if you are affirmed in your masculinity and who God has made you to be, like a lot of those things aren't going to bother you. Like the whole sunscreen thing, like I will fully admit I probably have some work to do there with the Lord.
But it's also, that is a weird, like, someone has their shirt off, you're putting your hands and rubbing it. Like, I could get why anybody might feel uncomfortable with that. Like, doing that to a stranger would feel weird if it's not in a medical, like, setting.
See, I would rather do it with a stranger.
That'd be weird.
That is, you're walking down the beach and somebody's like, hey, sir, can you put some sunscreen on my back?
And just like, and then your best friend's like, bro!
You've been on the beach all afternoon.
I'm burnt. I'm getting cancer on my back because of you.
Yeah, he's like, but I don't know them, so it's okay.
Man. We're all walking contradictions. All right, health. So this is going to be a fun discussion, and we've titled this Putting Health Back in Masculinity, and really defining what health is, because I think for a lot of us men, we are reluctant, I think. I know because I looked up all the data, and I'll give you some of that here. We are reluctant to take care of ourselves. But there's just something in that. And, we've talked about traditional masculinity on this show before, and we'll continue to talk about it and what that means, and is something that is traditionally masculine, is it necessarily healthy? Do we need to keep that in our repertoire as men? And this idea of health, I think, comes from a mentality that says, I don't need help, right? Because when you're addressing your health, you're basically going to someone who knows more than you, and so you are humbling yourself to say, I need assistance, right? Like, I need you to tell me what I need to do about this thing, because I can't take care of it myself. And so that is admitting weakness, maybe. It's, so there's a lot of things that are there with that. Yeah. But a couple of numbers to just kind of set our conversation for this. So a lot of this has come from the Cleveland Clinic and some of the stuff that they've done. But 53% of men say that their health is just not something that they feel comfortable. So they did a survey. I think there's 2,000 men that they did, and they just don't feel comfortable talking about health. It's just not something that they do. Some of the other findings that they had in that same survey was that 2 in 5 men go to the doctor only when they fear they have a serious illness. I'm raising my hand. Like, that literally defines me. I'm in that 2 out of 5. Yeah. Right? 40% don't get annual checkups. Like,
that's wild.
That is definitely me. I've been in the only reason I have even gone to the doctor in the last probably 15 years, one is because I needed to get immunizations to travel to Africa. And 2, I had to get a physical for adoption of my children. So without that, like, I really would have not a reason.
The primary care physician.
Yeah, like a checkup. Like, you had to get a checkup. You had to show a physical, right? 19% of men in the survey admitted only going to the doctor to stop a loved one from nagging. So that's the most recent one for me. Hilarious. Like, raising my hand again on that one. So I had this thing on my chin, and the barn church.
It's not a thing anymore, Jeff. It's a person.
It's not a bad thing. Yeah. The barn church had put all this pressure on me. They're like, hey, you got to go. And then Speaker Sprouse, if you're listening to this, Speaker Sprouse was like, bro, you got to go get that checked out. He's like, I'm not. I asked him to do something. He's like, no, I'm not doing that until you get that checked out.
No way.
So that is definitely me. So, like, Serrano, what do you say about? Do you see that among men? Why are we so, just from your experience dealing with men in the medical field, like, why are we so reluctant?
Yeah, well, for me, yes. And the answer to that, yes, we're reluctant. You mentioned and you said that it's because we don't feel like we want somebody that wants to fix it for us, kind of thing. And I think that goes to, we first have to define what health is. Because I've always thought about it from that perspective of saying, like, I think it's the fact that we put health in the wrong bucket. And the bucket of health that we put it in is, if I don't have something that's catastrophic, why am I going?
Yeah.
Right? I'm good to go.
I'm good to go, yeah.
There's nothing wrong. Why am I? Yeah.
And the issue with that is that that's not health. That's just critical care. That's just emergency care. That is, hey, you had a heart attack, you broke a leg, you got, in a massive accident, and there's blood everywhere. Like, yes, go get the critical care. I understand that, but that's not health. Yeah. Health is, hey, we've been giving this temple, and are we maximizing everything God's given us, right? physically.
Is it optimal?
Right? Is it optimal? Am I optimized? Am I doing the best I can with the gift I've been given?
Yeah.
And I think that's a different conversation. And I don't think men are having that conversation, right? A lot of times when you look at who is the one that is driving the health decisions in a household, 80% of them is the mom. It's the wife.
Yeah.
Right? Yep. And then that gets into the bucket of like leadership in the household.
Ooh.
Right? Are we as men giving so much of our leadership away in our household, and we're just going to say, hey, health, decisions when it comes to school, although are we giving that away and just saying, hey, I'm the breadwinner. I'm going to step outside the house, and I'm just going to make sure that things run in the home.
Yeah.
Right? Spiritually, women are the one that are driving men to church. Right? I think it's a bigger conversation than just health. I think it's a leadership in the household, and we're called to be leaders in our home.
That's good.
That's interesting, right?
Yeah.
We talked about
100%.
Leadership on this podcast before, and whether or not that's a masculine trait. Traditional masculinity would say that leadership that's a male thing, and we kind of have said, well, it is a male thing in some regards. It's not that women can't be leaders.
Yeah.
They obviously are, but in a biblical, like bibliocentric kind of like worldview, there is this call for men to take the burden of leadership. Like leadership, there's responsibility, and it's a weight to take seriously. And does that mean we have to lead in necessarily every single area? No, but the overall temperature, like I've told men this for years, like if the temperature in your home is icy, like it's on you to warm that thing up, right? Like if the temperature in the home is the responsibility of the man to do that. Biblically, that's what we believe. And so what you're saying is like, yeah, even like the health, we've like outsourced it to our wives almost.
Absolutely. And like you said, it's not that you have to be part of every single decision all the time.
No.
But I think what I've seen in my practice, right? 15 plus years in practice.
Do y'all want to hear more of that conversation? Well, you can by becoming a Patros subscriber. You'll get exclusive member-only content. Just go to the link in the description or go to the Patros website.
Yeah, and when you become a subscriber, like what you're telling us is that you enjoy this content and you want to hear more of it. So every dollar that you give helps us do just that.
So thank you again for listening as we just together go on this journey of embracing healthy masculinity.